Hello and welcome to Karen's Creative Cards on YouTube. I am Karen Hashik, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make several sweet watermelon thank you cards and tags. I love watermelon, and most people do, especially in the hot summer. But no matter what time of year it is, you find this video, you will want to check out these easy and colorful watermelon cards. I found some cute watermelon cards on Pinterest and wanted to try them for myself, but my largest scallop circle die wasn't big enough for a card, so I decided to make this cute gift card. I used nestability dies to make this sweet gift tag. I made the seeds by punching a small flower in black cardstock and cutting out each petal for the seeds. I die cut a small scallop circle for the bite mark and added an Impression Obsession die for you on the inside. So this is a nice little gift tag for a sweet gift this summer. This is, I decided the watermelon did not have to be scalloped, and then I made a larger watermelon card with my Grand's circle and a large flower punch for the seeds. So what I did for the seeds was, I know you could just try to hand cut those or even use Nuvo black drops, but I thought it would be easier, and I did. I just punched a flower and then cut out each one of those petals to make the seeds. On the smaller one I used this one, and on this bigger one I used that. So that was a really easy way to make those seeds. The sweet is a Karen Burniston die, and so is the thanks from the inside and the A. And then this melon, I used a Tonic Studios die to do that. So I have sweet, thanks, a melon, and this is a thank you card that I made. This is the sweet card I'm going to make with you today in the video. I love the front of this card. I used the watermelon charm to make those watermelons, but it's even more fun when the card is opened. So the watermelon that pops up is created with a new Karen Burniston pop-up tent die, and I will have links to all the products I used to make this card. I was totally inspired by a card I saw online by Sandy Diller, who is on Karen's design team, and I've included a link to her card in my description. I did learn when making this sample that I used too thick a cardstock for the watermelon piece. I used 110-pound red cardstock, and the card doesn't want to fold very flat, although you could get it flat enough to mail. And it also doesn't want to stay open as well as it should, because this is not laying as flat as it would. I am switching to a lighter weight red cardstock, I assume about 80-pound, and I think that will solve that problem. So we have thanks a melon and the tent, and that's the front, and that's the one we're going to make today. And here are the dies that I used to make that card. This is the tent pop-up die set from Karen Burniston. I did a previous video of a card that had the tent, and this time we're making the tent into a watermelon. We're using her new chunky alphabet set. I love this alphabet set. It's nice and chunky, but it's a good size. It's not too big and not too small, and I've used it quite a bit since I got it. We're using the Sweet Treats Charms set, so you can choose to use them as charms, or in this case I cut off the little charm part and just used the watermelon. We're saying sweet from her new Word Set 6 Summer. And then I wanted to say thanks a melon, so I used the A from this one and the thanks from this one. So I used many of her die sets for this card. We are starting with a card base that I cut out of, it's a Coordinations Tim Holtz Craft Cord Shattered Coordinations color cord cardstock that has the shattered look on the front, and then it has the craft on the inside. And I cut it 5 by 10, and I folded it in half for a side folding card. I have cut the tent out of a lighter red cardstock, and I worked all the folds. And for this and all of her dies, you always want to watch Karen Burniston's videos, and she gives you really good tips on what to do. I've put some two-sided ScorTape, or you can use your favorite adhesive along the edges here, which will put it together, and along the bottom, and that's going to hold it on the card. I used a bunch of the seeds I showed you from that flower punch, and I just wanted to show you that when you die cut your tent, there are 4 holes, and I just covered them up with a seed, and those are for like stringing twine through to, if you were using a tent, you could use it to hold the tent down if you chose, but I'm covering them up with seeds. I've also done the other pre-cutting here. You don't need to watch me die cutting. I've cut melon out of those chunky letters, and I just had this idea pop into my head one night. I made the M kind of look like a watermelon with a stripe of green and a stripe of white and the seeds. And here's that flower punch that I cut into the seeds. Thanks, a melon. And then these are for the front, and then this is the strips that's going to go along the bottom of the tent to make it look like a watermelon. So we are going to remove the tape along the side flaps, and then we just put it together like that and push it down, and you have one side of the tent done. Now if you were if this was going to be a normal tent, this would be the front, and you fold these up to make tent flaps, but because it's going to be a watermelon, I'm going to put those in the back. And put those together with the tape. So our back is done and our front is done. And then we are going to attach these pieces that are supposed to be like the rind, and this is going to be the front, and the front one has to be scored so that it will be folding with the tent. So the green goes along the bottom, and we're going to match those scored lines up. And then we're going to trim off what's sticking out. And then along the 2 sides, we're also going to attach a piece. Okay, so our tent, our watermelon piece is done. It has its rind and its seeds on it. And I'm going to attach it to the card. What Karen says to do is to line it up with the fold in the center towards the top of the card. and you want to be, whoops, right against, it's not a big deal, I dropped that on the ground, right against the fold but not over it. And if my head is in the camera, I apologize, I have to line that up. I try not to do that, but. And then that one goes down. I'm just pushing from this bottom. And then you fold the tent down, and it will lay flat to mail, and then it stands up when the recipient receives it. I just love interactive cards and things that pop up. And now we're going to glue on the Thanks a Melon. Line those up first. Attach them with my favorite glue. You know, I think these are chunky enough to use the tape. Thanks, Melon. And of course I could stamp those, but I just like the look of a die, the color, and mixing the fonts. I got this. I started it before and it worked fine, and of course now that I'm filming, it doesn't want to come out. I'm going to grab my tweezers to put that on. Thanks, a Melon. Then on the front, I have cut out 8 watermelon pieces using the charm. This is what the charm die looks like. And then once you die cut it, then you use a small black marker and you color in the seeds. And then you take the white rind and then the green rind and you attach those. When I put them together, I usually, if there's a little bit of white sticking out, I just trim it just a little bit, and then it's perfect. So, and what I decided to do on the front was I cut out a 2.5-inch circle, and I put it in the center of the card. And then I lined these up around it, one at the top, one at the bottom, one at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and then one in between. So that is how I am going to line those up, and attach them. And I like to leave the circle there because then I know I'm getting them fairly even around that. One more. So our watermelons are in a pretty even circle. I cut a red and a white sweet. The white came out of this middle of that, and I offset them just a bit, and I'm going to attach that with some glue. So if you were thanking someone, you would say, "Oh, how sweet you were." And then when it pops open, you say, "Thanks, a melon." I have to get these to... And the watermelon stands up, and our card is complete. I know the person I send this to is going to love it. Thanks for watching, subscribing, commenting, and sharing, and thanks too for helping me share the joy of creativity.